really over the last 10 years, the creative sector in this region and outside London has been reasonably well funded. I think we've done pretty well. Those days really are over, I think, by the look of it. I think we really are seeing what the level of cuts are going to be that are rolling out. I think it will get better after the Olympics, because that's a massive drain on public money. So from around 2013, it will start to improve. But it's a question of how long can we all hold our breath, really, and can we last till 2013? And it is absolutely about the money. That's something I want to be really clear on. That business support, training, skills, hot housing, incubators, all those things are incredibly important. But without money to make content, none of it works, none of it sticks, and it's all wasted. So hard cash is really, really important. And I think most of you would agree with us on that. The recent survey we did around the range of schemes and services we offer, and our questions to you about what you felt was important. You put content funding at the top as the most important, and funding for development second. So it seems as though we're aligned on that. Money for content and its development is crucial for this region and the creative industries that are here. Just a little bit of context, really. In the 3 years up to 2009, if you take the combined regional screen agencies across England, they took in £18 million of funding from the UK Film Council in that 3-year period. They were able to then bring in, on the back of that, another 26 million for film-related activities, and on top of that, another 52 million pounds for the wider creative industries. So there's around 100 million pounds worth of money there that the screen agencies were able to bring in on the back of UK Film Council money and on the back of RDA money. Obviously, with the demise of the UKFC and the demise of the RDAs, that leverage isn't there anymore. That's a massive challenge, because a lot of what we do is use that seed funding to get in other money. European regional development funding has been incredibly important for this region, but ERDF, you need to have money there to begin with. It's only match money. Without the sort of seed funding to match, it's very difficult to bring in some of those bigger funds. The reasons why it's good to have this sort of agency in the region isn't just the money. Alongside that, you've got a group of people that are dedicated to fighting the cause for the creative industries in the region. And I think that's very useful and important. It means that we can tap into national money and national networks. And the stuff we talk about taking talent to market and bringing the market in to meet the talent here, all that stuff really helps in the mix. And if you talk to any of the productions we've been successful in bringing into the region, all of them would say they value hugely the production services. The people that are sitting in this region, a lot of them in NFM, helping people when they come into the region to find the right locations and helping service those locations when they're here, helping to plug them into local crew and local facilities. 74% of DCMS spending is spent in London. And I think we'd all accept that London has an awful lot of creative industry and an awful lot of infrastructure. But 74%, that's incredibly high. London has twice the spending per head of population of lottery than the rest of the country, and they only buy 30% of the lottery tickets in London. So I think there's a real element of unfairness that is there, and I think we have to somehow renegotiate what fairness is. We've got to try and do it in a way that isn't whinging, but we've got to try and do it in a way that points out that that level of disparity around funding just isn't fair. So in terms of our recommendations, what should be our collective response to all of this? What should creative industry support look like? And what do you want it to look like? What are your thoughts on what the priorities are for creative industry development in the North East? I think we put forward 3 fairly essential elements to it. One is, as I alluded to earlier, the content fund. And a content fund to work has to have the right expertise associated with it. And those expertise have to be networked nationally across the content industries in the rest of the country. But that money is crucial. And I think what North Star have done is start to develop that sort of expertise within their company. So a content fund is one thing that's vital. Micro-budget content, I believe, is incredibly important. And I know that that's a bit more of a controversial one. But production funding is harder and harder to get. There is money from brands, advertising, micropayments, those sorts of things. But the trouble is, all those tend to click in at the end, not at the beginning. So the only way of really funding production is from the revenues of the previous production. And that obviously gives massive cash flow issues and huge startup issues around funding. There is a real sense in the content industries that the middle is dead. It is really only about high budget and low budget now. So in that sort of environment, being able to create content much more cheaply is going to be a real strength. And I think it's something that this region should focus on. A creative Northeast as well is something that I've banged on a little bit about, but I think now is absolutely essential. A virtual coming together, if you like, of all the agencies in this sort of space. I think when there was a lot of money, it was fine to have a lot of different silos, doing a lot of different work with the creative industries. But I think that's changed. I think we have to come together in a different kind of a way. I think the work we've been doing with Generator is a really good example of that. The work we've done bringing filmmakers together with musicians, I think that does work. And I think we have to go even further and just understand how we can be a much more cost-effective offer for the region. And I was reminded earlier, actually, of the Jimmy and the Sounds promo that was new filmmaker, new band, DJ, Dick Carruthers, very famous pop producer, came together to do the Jimmy and the Sounds promo, and there's a fantastic making of film that you should definitely have a look at, even if it's just to see Jimmy and the Sounds turning up 2 hours late for their own video. It's a good example of the ways we can get people to work together differently. In terms of if we were trying to think of what that physically might look like, if you think about, if some of you have been to Thinking Digital, the fantastic digital content discussion forum that takes place at the Sage run by Codeworks, if you imagine that not just full of great speakers from all over the world, but also full of our bands playing music to the delegates, full of screenings, full of a much wider range of creative industry content, that sort of platform would give the creative industries in this region a really interesting profile. And that's a kind of physical way you could start to manifest some of the work we do a bit differently.